Tort, violation of another's legal right. A tort is a violation of another's legal right, a civil wrong as opposed to a criminal wrong. Such violations may include negligence or libel. Negligence is a failure to fulfill a responsibility to the effect that someone else is hurt. Libel is statements or actions that slander another person's reputation. These are civil wrongs and not criminal, in that criminal wrongs include stealing or murdering. A tort is a violation of another's legal right. Fixed interest rate. Interest rate which does not change throughout a loan. The easiest way to understand a fixed interest rate is to discuss a variable interest rate. If a 30-year trust deed is taken on a property, we have no way of knowing what market interest rates will be over the course of 30 years. Therefore, a lender might want a variable interest rate, which allows the interest rate of the loan to be adjusted depending on some defined condition. One popular condition is tying the variable interest rate to an index, like the 11th District Funds Rate. Don't let the name get in the way. It is an index which models the market's opinion of what a current interest rate should be. So a variable interest rate may more or less track the current market rates for interest rates and protect the bank's investment in making the 30-year trust deed in the first place. A fixed interest rate is the opposite of a variable interest rate, and exactly what it says. One single fixed interest rate for the life of the loan. Antonyms: variable interest rate. First trust deed. Loan of first priority to repay in foreclosure. A first trust deed is often called a loan of first priority on real property. Since property has value, it is often used as collateral for borrowed money. The lender is protected by the fact that the property can be repossessed to pay back the loan in the event the borrower defaults or does not pay back the loan. But what if a property owner takes several loans on the same property? The loans line up in order of being taken to set a priority in the event the home must be repossessed or foreclosed on to pay back any one of the loans. The first trust deed is the first loan in line. The important part of the phrase is not the trust deed part, but the word first. It doesn't matter what type of loan is in first position, only that it is in first position. Priority is set by the date, day, and time of the recording by the county clerk's office. The first recorded is the highest priority. A first trust deed is a trust deed in first position or priority, to be repaid in the event of a foreclosure. Antonyms: junior trust deed. Related words: priority, filing, county clerk records office. Walkup. More than one-story apartment with no elevator. A, quote, walk-up, end quote, is a phrase that refers to a more than one-story apartment building with no elevator. The phrase comes from the fact that residents have to, quote, walk up, end quote, the stairs to get to the second floor or higher. Also called a walk-up apartment. Love and affection. Consideration to transfer property among family members. A valid contract requires legally competent parties, mutual consent, lawful object, and acceptable consideration. Consideration is something of value offered and can include a promise of future money, property, parentheses, real or personal, end parentheses, or personal services. But what if a parent wants to give a property to a family member? The parent doesn't intend to sell the property at market value, but wants to pass the property to the child to keep the property in the family. The conveyance used is a gift deed, and the legal form of consideration is called, quote, love and affection, end quote. It doesn't sound like a legal term, but it is. If you want to transfer a property to a family member, the valid consideration will be love and affection. Optionee, person receiving an option, the potential buyer. An option is an agreement to keep something available for a specified period of time. You want to sell your property and a buyer thinks he wants to buy it, but he is not sure, so he asks you for an option so that you won't sell to anyone else for the next month. Parentheses, you are the optioner in this case, end parentheses. You say okay, but it will cost him $1,000, parentheses, he is the optionee, end parentheses. So he pays you $1,000. He has bought the option to buy your property at the current price for the next month. Maybe he buys your property over the course of the next month, maybe not. It doesn't matter. You keep the $1,000 as the price paid for granting him the option. The optionee is the person receiving the option, typically the buyer. Related words: option, optionor. Probate, court proceedings to prove the validity of a will. Probate is the process where a will is examined and declared valid or not. If the will is valid, then it is fulfilled. If it is not valid, then the probate court decides what will be done. During probate, properties may be sold if appropriate. An executor is a person named in the will to execute the will. If none is named, the probate court will appoint an administrator, parentheses, and administratrix if female, end parentheses. Probate is the process of fulfilling a will or legally distributing the assets of the deceased. Related words: will. Fixture, Maria. Determination of attachment to real property. When an item becomes attached to property, it changes from personal property to real property. A purchased ceiling fan changes from personal property to real property when it is hooked up to the electrical system of the house. There are 5 tests to determine attachment. Method of attachment, adaptation, relationship of the parties, intention, and agreement between parties, or Maria. To understand the method of attachment, compare a picture hung on a wall with a ceiling fan. One is lifted off, the other has to be removed with work and tools. The ceiling fan is a fixture. The picture is not. Adaptation asks if the item was altered or changed to fit the property. A slide-in stove is not a fixture. A built-in stove is. Relationship of parties compares buyer-seller, lender-borrower, and landlord-tenant, giving slight favor to the disadvantaged party, that is the buyer, the borrower, and the tenant. Intention, either implied or expressed, determines what is a fixture. My tenant asked to replace the existing dishwasher with his nicer dishwasher, stating he would repair any damage caused. Clearly, this item is intended to leave with the tenant and not stay with the property. It is a fixture which remains personal property. Finally, agreement of the parties, such as a sale agreement, for example, that specifically says the chandelier is not included in the sale of the house. This item is a fixture that has been excluded from the sale. Bulk sales. Sale of a business or most of a business's inventory. Bulk sales refers to the sale of a business or the sale of a substantial portion of a business or a substantial portion of a business's inventory. Such sales are regulated by the Bulk Transfer Act. The reason bulk sales are regulated is that usually businesses have substantial creditor relationships that can be jeopardized by the sale of a business that owes creditors money. This is especially true if a business is being liquidated and possibly closed down. The applicable law is found in Division 6 of the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, and includes the requirement of a public notice at least 12 business days prior to the sale, a recording with the county clerk, and publishing of the sale in a local newspaper with a copy of the notice included in the recording with the county clerk. Bulk sales means the sale of a business or a substantial portion of a business. Related words: Bulk Transfer Act. Disclosure. Revealing known information. Disclosure in real estate is the revealing of known information which might materially affect a transaction. Material information is information that, if it had been known, might have changed the buyer's mind. The burden of disclosure falls on the agent because the law assumes, as professionals, they know more than sellers or buyers. While agents are not expected to investigate, red flags are telltale signs of possible trouble. California has the Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement (TDS), which is a long list of items for sellers to review when engaging an agent to list their home for sale. Disclosure is revealing known information and even information that should have been known, given red flags which might materially affect a transaction.